So, with the Italian Grand Prix concluded, us Ferrari fans were absolutely delusional and high on copium after Charles's great win. So, when we entered the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, we had high expectations since we never lower them now, do we? So we, and like many F1 fans, were anticipating a good and close weekend with lots of action. So, was the race in Baku chaotic like 2017, 18, and 21, or was it boring like 2016, 19, 22, and 23? Well, in my opinion, the race was alright, but certainly chaotic, since it was a snoozer, but after the first stops, everyone locked in and we got a good race between all the cars with lots of drama. So overall, pretty good race. So with the weekend now concluded, we only have to wait a little bit more for Singapore since it is a doubleheader, and I'm sure that the race will be good too since Singapore is a track that loves tight grids. So before we discuss the winners and losers, I want to give a quick shout out to all members of the flock, and if you haven't joined yet, do it so we can fight against the FOM Devils. So enough yapping, and here is a recap of the weekend and the winners and losers from Baku. Recap first like always, and like I said before, we Ferrari fans don't know how to lower our expectations, so after Monza concluded, we wanted more. So when we entered Friday, we got just that since the only thing that comes after high speed is a crash, and Charles gave us just that. Man. Well, it was also because the track has zero grip, and we saw that with Colapinto, who in his second race binned it for Williams, and I could already see the story, as well as other drivers going wide and taking runoff. Cue Turkey flashbacks. Anyways, interestingly enough, Red Bull look oddly competitive, like fastest car competitive, since Max topped the times in FP1, and Checo proved to us all that he really is a human rights violation merchant, since he always does good in countries where human rights are just as valuable as a string on the ground. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing from him. Anyways, in FP2, we saw that the grid is mighty close since Red Bull, Merc, Ferrari, and McLaren are separated by the littlest of margins. So as we enter qualifying, the question on everyone's mind is, how will Lando get pole and bottle the race? Well, in Q1, we got our answer since Lando would even get pole since he got out in Q1 by doing a Raikkonen. But in other news, Williams looked mighty rapid and they got into Q2 where nothing really happened. So in Q3, both Williams were now in, and to cool their excitement, they compromised Albon by keeping the cooler in the car. Nice job, idiots. But in an extremely tight session, it would be Charles Leclerc who got pole after such a tight session. So the race looks to be banging, so let's see what happens. Race day would come, and lap 1 would be clean, and lap 2, and lap 3, and lap 4. You know, this race is kind of boring. All we had is a Stroll puncture and Yuki retiring because of Stroll, but like, is Stroll being dumb surprising news? Probably not. Anyways, after the first and only stops, the race came alive between Leclerc, Piastri, and Perez for the win, with Sainz later on, and the win would go to Piastri, with nothing else happening, right? Yep, nothing. And overall again, it ended up being a pretty good weekend. Now that the recap is over, we now have the winners and losers, and as always, losers first, and we first have Lance Stroll. Yikes, man. Knew he's gonna have to do so much carrying if Aston won a chance of being title contenders. And it's gonna be a lengthy process too, because right now, these guys are genuinely so bad that it's not even funny. They can upgrade the car all they want, but it seems that at most, 1,000th of a second will be added to performance, but somehow Alonso will manage to get a good result out of it. But Lance? But yeah, quali was shameful, race was shameful, everything about Lance is shameful. And if Lex Luthor is a smart man many people think he is, he would do the obvious thing already and pull the plug on his son. Next, we have Alpine, and they just look so painfully slow. And this bipolar disorder that the team suffers from, meaning sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, has got to change since they really can't be content with this, since I'd imagine they want to be good always, instead of whatever hell they are in right now. Anyways, in quali, they were pretty bad, which wasn't helped by the puncture Ocon got, and the race was nothing special either. But hey, at least what happened last year didn't happen, so there's that. Next up is Sauber, and again, low-hanging fruit, but I don't know. There's weekends where they look a little bit faster and competitive, but there are other weekends where they look like an F2 team in F1, and I fear this weekend was the latter for Sauber. If there is one thing that Sauber fans can latch onto, it is that the team may be really secured for the future, but even then, there is nothing saying they will be competitive in 2026 or onwards. But yeah, just sad. Quali was horrible, race was horrible. Someone, please pray for Hulkenberg and either Bottas or Bortoleto next year. Moving on, we have Hamilton, and Lando had a bad quali, but he recovered somewhat well, and Hamilton started in the pit lane, but yet made nowhere near the progress as Lando. Now, I get Lando has a rocket ship and Lewis doesn't. However, even compared to Russell, bro was nowhere. His quali was alright, but then he took a new engine, and in the race, you wouldn't have known since the car was that bad. All I gotta say is, what happens for Lewis between Friday and Saturday? Finally, we have Lando should have Norris, and it is so Joker for him. Red Bull seemingly found pace again, and Lando, seeing this, left. He needed to maximize the results, and qualifying 17th and putting yourself at a massive disadvantage is not the way to do it. Sure, he had a great recovery, but let's play the if game and imagine if Lando didn't get out in Q1 and instead qualified in the top 3. Imagine what he could have gotten. Plus, that's not to mention the weekend where the team centers around him and helps him as much as they can is announced. He does that and makes Piastri look better. Yikes, man, do better. Now for the winners, and we first have Ferrari, and I don't know how to feel, to be honest. We had great race pace and great management, which led to pole position and another fight for the win for Charles, but tire management proved to be a problem. If we could continue this in Singapore, which is likely, then that's 3 races in a row with winning contention, and if you want to see what happens after, go watch this video where I explain how we win the title. But yeah, Charles was brilliant, and we don't talk about Carlos, but I'm not complaining since we still took away good points with Charles at least. Next, we have Piastri, and all I gotta say is, not bad for a number 2 driver. In a weekend where Lando is announced as a team's priority, Lando embarrasses himself and Oscar shows that he is that guy. His quali pace was great by sticking it in the front row, and in the race, he stepped up by being fast, consistent, and defending well, which put him in a fight for the lead and ultimately got the dub and made a statement. Lando, he knocked you down. How are you going to respond now? Next up is Red Bull, and they finally looked normal again. Max was back to the top and in contention for wins until the actual race, and same with his teammate Checo. And bro, this man is never beating the GOAT in countries without human rights allegations, isn't he? Well, whatever. Welcome back, Checo, and you better be back since you have to be there getting points for Red Bull like this now to the end. This was written before the crash, by the way. God damn it, guys. Anyways, they looked fast around here, especially Checo like he always does, and even matched Verstappen and was ahead of him like in the qualifying and in the race. So, great job, man. If he could continue this form, then maybe Red Bull would win both titles and end the year on a high. But yeah, quali was great, race was great. Let's see if this form continues in Singapore, and maybe Max still wins in the end. Again, this was written before the crash, but still, without the crash, point still stands. Next, we have Haas, and they looked really awesome this weekend. Compared to VCarb, who they are in a battle for 6th in, they really were better since they were just more competitive and scored good points. Plus, Ollie was great since K-Mag got banned for his terrorism, he had to fill in, and that is exactly what he did by being fast and being awesome in the car and standing his ground against Nico. Is it too early to say that he is going to be one of, if not the best rookie next year? Maybe. But I wouldn't be surprised if this does happen, since he's just so damn controlled in the car, which gets him the good results. But yeah, great weekend for Haas. Moving on, we have Williams, and the upgrades they brought works like a charm since Alex was mighty rapid and Colapinto was right there with him throughout the entire weekend. And I know James AEIOU is somewhere out there crimming his pants since he now has 2 drivers right there being competitive. Though we shouldn't forgive him for how he handled Logan. Anyways, they were right there fighting for Q3 and fighting for great points, and now we should maybe consider them in the battle for 6th because this is a fantastic foundation for the rest of the season, and if they are like this for the next one, maybe Sainz is okay after all. Also, let us give a quick round of applause to Colapinto because this guy was faster than Albon at some points, especially in the qualifying, where he out-qualified him and did something Logan could never do legitimately in 2 races. But you could argue that wasn't legitimate either. And you have to wonder now, does AEIOU regret getting Sainz? Well, probably not considering the dates they had. Finally, and by the way, yes, there are 6 winners here, we have Fernando Alonso, and even though that Aston was garbage, which should have led to a whatever result, he somehow stuck it in 8th, just a few hundredths away from Hamilton, and it was a great race performance by him also, where he got 6th. I need to hope that this man can get the car he deserves, since if Newey cooks, I feel like Alonso is gonna cook, which means we as fans are treated to something we all want, which is Fernando back at the front. So yeah, quali was great and the race was even better. Now, for the most mid driver or team of the weekend, and I put Max Verstappen here since he really went nowhere in the race, but it wasn't like he was astonishingly bad, it was just a little bit behind. And that was my recap of the weekend and my winners and losers for the 2024 Baku Grand Prix. Overall, I thought the weekend was great since we got close and good racing, and man, imagine telling an F1 fan back in 2023 that the 2024 season would play out like this. If you told me that, I would have laughed at your big, ugly, stupid face. Just kidding. But now I'm looking forward to Singapore, and if you are too, keep a lookout for my weekend preview on Tuesday. But yeah, let us now look at my predictions I made at the start of the week, and starting with quali predictions, I got these ones mostly wrong. However, I did get pole right, and remember, the championship, don't doubt us now. Now for my race predictions, and I got these ones pretty much wrong, but hey, I did say Russell was going to finish P3. And finally, we have my random predictions, and I got these ones right since Ollie was better than Nico, and I saw some people calling this stupid, so never doubt me again. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe since that would greatly help me make better content, and let me know in the comments who your winners and losers were. And as always, have an amazing day.
Good weather for the duck.